Good afternoon, it's 25 minutes to 2 o'clock and you're chatting with Jade Robrin. I hope you're keeping warm. Looking out my studio window, it's grey and it looks miserable and cold. Winter has certainly arrived, hasn't it? Now, it's that time of week where we talk about our state, and today we're talking about businesses investing in South Australia. Now, Babcock is an engineering company based in Adelaide and is doing big business worldwide, all the while putting our state on the map. And we're joined by their CEO, David Ruff. Also in the studio today is Mike Hnyda. Thank you very much, Chief Executive of Investment Attraction of South Australia. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. David, I wanted to start with you. What is Babcock?
We are an engineering support services company. That means we do three things, really. We manage critical assets, we deliver complex programs, and we teach people vital skills, mainly. We started in Australia about 6 years ago, here in Adelaide. A small company, about $15 million turnover a year, supporting IASA doing submarines.
Wow.
Today, we operate throughout Australia. We employ about 725 people. Our revenues have gone up well north of 250 million. And we work across defence, emergency services, transport and energy sectors. Our clients include some very well-known Australian brands. So, for example, Qantas, we manage their ground support equipment right across Australia. So anywhere across Qantas's 60 sites in Australia where you see the ground support equipment, that's actually Babcock behind those operations. We operate alongside our partners ASC and UGL Defence, maintaining the Royal Australian Navy's submarines and frigates, the Anzacs. And we also operate helicopter emergency services across Victoria, throughout Queensland, and here in South Australia, of course, we provide the Motor Accident Commission's emergency helicopters, and that includes fully crewed and operated by Babcock staff. And then all of those helicopter operations nationally are managed and overseen by our National Operations Centre here in Adelaide, just up the road from the studio here. And globally, Babcock is a fairly large company. We employ 35,000 people, and we turn over about 9 billion Australian dollars a year in revenue.
Yeah, that's fairly large, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got to get a bit bigger in Australia, though.
Really? What are your plans?
We doing more of the same. So we're in our three, what we would call core sectors here: our aviation business, our defence marine business, and our emergency services asset management business. And it's just about growing those. And there's some very exciting programs coming up, which we haven't quite secured yet. But when I do, I'll be back to tell you all about them.
Very good. I like to know that. Mike, tell me about Investment Attraction South Australia. What's that?
Yeah, sure, Jade. Well, Investment Attraction South Australia was set up in 2015 by the South Australian government to be South Australia's lead agency to attract new investment and new jobs to the state. So really, our role in terms of an investment attraction agency is to promote South Australia as a business location to companies both interstate and internationally, to highlight the fantastic business offering we have here in South Australia, and the advantage of setting up your business here in the state as well. We work closely with companies such as Davis Babcock on their business needs. And really our job is to get companies to do just like Babcock have done, which is to establish their business here, grow that business, and probably most importantly, to create new jobs here in South Australia. So put it simply, Investment Attraction South Australia, our role is to make it easy for companies to invest here and to set up new jobs here.
I have to ask you, the bank levy tax that the government are proposing, it's made headlines all around South Australia and, in our neighbouring states. Today in The Australian, the CEO of ANZ's come out saying, well, introducing that will make it less attractive for businesses to, invest in South Australia and open up. What do you say to that?
Well, it's interesting because we have a pipeline of projects we're always dealing with, and those projects go from financial services companies to manufacturing companies to food and agriculture companies. So we see a broad range of companies, and we have a very wide pipeline. We deal with these companies on a day-to-day basis, and not one of those companies has actually raised that with us at all, and no company has actually said it's affecting them. So from the companies we deal in, we have not seen any comeback or pushback to any of their investment plans at all.
That's such great news to hear, because I have to say it gets really tiring day in, day out, hearing people knock South Australia and say, oh, you know what, I don't want to go there, it's not sustainable for whatever reason.
Do you know that's the look? We're all here to promote South Australia. We're here to grow business, to bring people in, to bring investment. So that's our role as investment attraction. What we need everyone to be doing that, and that be the companies, the banks. We need everyone to be saying, because we need to bring those jobs in. So I absolutely agree. Really, across industry, we should be talking up South Australia, what we've got here, because when we talk to companies about our business proposition, then we think we've got a great proposition and deal for them.
What drew you to South Australia? What do you love about operating here? I mean, the lifestyle's fantastic. It's easy to get around. What do you like about it?
Well, I think the first point to say is before I came here, I'd never visited Australia. I'm a Zimbabwean. I've worked in many different countries, worked across many different cultures. I joined Babcock in about 2008, leading a small consultancy business at the time. I was then appointed to run their defence business in the UK, and from there they shipped me out to the Middle East, where I spent 5 years running their Middle East business from Abu Dhabi, and then I arrived here about a year ago from Abu Dhabi. And now I have responsibility across Australia and New Zealand. I think the only thing I'd say about South Australia is my wife and I absolutely love it.
Good.
We've been to Kangaroo Island at least twice.
Have you really? That's twice more than I have. Isn't that terrible?
It's a fantastic place. And I can recommend some good places for you to go. We've been up to the Flinders, scaled up Rawnsley's Bluff and explored Bunyuru Gorge. We've sailed up and down the mighty Murray, and we've darkened quite a few cellar doors in Adelaide Hills, Barossa, Clare, McLaren Vale. And so much so now we've ditched the rental home and we've bought a delightful Aussie-style house in the suburbs in Adelaide.
Did you really? Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, you know, to our listeners, we have noted that you've got wonderful accents. We've got one chief executive from Wales, and like you just said then, you're from Zimbabwe. How did you both come to find yourselves in Adelaide?
Well, we are an odd mix today, aren't we, of accents? As you quite rightly say, this is a Welsh accent. And really, I spent 20 years doing a similar role in Wales for the Welsh Development Agency, and then latterly the Welsh Government. And Wales was probably one of the first countries in the world to set up an investment attraction agency way back in 1983. So I've been involved in that in terms of attracting both investment and companies. So I have about 20 years experience in that field of bringing investors in and putting packages and deals around the investors. So I think with that background, that's how I've ended up and been given the privilege and honour, really, of establishing a new investment attraction agency here in South Australia. So that's how I've ended up living in this beautiful state.
And I'm guessing, Mike, you would have had to have fallen in love with Adelaide and South Australia to be able to sell it. Because it's like, well, hang on a minute. Why have we got a Welshman selling South Australia to the rest of the world?
Absolutely right. And I love, same as David, I love the Adelaide. I love the city. I love South Australia, and likewise. And in fact, all our brochures, when we promote to companies, they've got The Lonely Planet, best 10 places in the world to live, New York Times, Daily Telegraph. But I actually always say to clients, I always say my personal experience, which I think David does as well, you know, because as a newcomer here, you know, and we get to see and visit everything, and so I always say about my personal experience, and I say, look, I live in the CBD. It's a fantastic city. It's so easy to get around. I've got the beach 20 minutes away. I've got the hills. 20 minutes away, McLaren Vale's 40 minutes to the south, the Barossa, Fleury Peninsula, Flinders Range. You can go on and on, and just embracing this. And like David, I've darkened many a winery door. Likewise,
it's easy to do.
It's easy to do. And then on top of that, not only the lifestyle and the climate, but the range of events we have here, throughout the year, with the Clipsal, the Fringe, Tour Down Under, all the events, festivals. I mean, it's fantastic. So the lifestyle here is second to none, and I probably oversell it over enthusiastic because I love it so much. And the last one I always quote, because it's interesting when I have people visit, and I've had both my sons visit from the UK, and they've come into Adelaide, spent a week and two here, and then gone up to Sydney and Melbourne, and both of them say their favourite place in Australia is Adelaide.
Brilliant. That's what we like to hear, isn't it? We'll finish this conversation after the break. We'll finish on a high note that we all love Adelaide. It's 10 to 2 and it's that time of week where we're talking about our state, and today we are talking about businesses investing in South Australia, and we're talking to the Chief Executive of Babcock in Australasia, David Ruff, and also the Chief Executive of Investment Attraction South Australia, Mike Hnyda. And David, I wanted to ask you, what were the factors behind the decision to establish an Australasian headquarters for Babcock in South Australia?
Well, first of all, I'd just like to thank Mike and his team at Invest SA for helping us establish our regional support centre here. It's a crucial part of our development in the country and indeed in the region. South Australia is a logical choice for us in many respects. First of all, it expands our existing presence in the state. More importantly, in the context that we operate from Perth in WA right across to Auckland in New Zealand, it's very much a natural geocentre in both time zone terms and in terms of geography, getting to the extremes of the business, as it were. It's a very central place. I think the other key points for us are the high quality of universities and schools in Adelaide produces regularly a talented pool of skilled, qualified youngsters, which are, in our view, a steady contribution to the local industry if you can employ them and put them into major programs like the defence industry programs that have been announced through the Defence White Paper. So I think that sort of synergy with a growing defence industry here in Adelaide, in South Australia, combined with the talent of young people coming out of the educational establishments, as well as that natural physical geocentre, makes Adelaide the perfect choice for Babcock.
And Babcock is heavily invested in the aerospace, defence and aviation sectors. What role do you see the company play in building industry capability here in SA?
Well, it's very much our model around the world, and that is partnering with local businesses, contractors, suppliers, putting all of those together, opening up supply chains, delivering large, complex programs. In doing that, we find we bring new technologies, new capabilities, new methodologies, know-how to those programs and to those businesses. And that transfer of know-how, technology, experience, whether it's the current operations around the Collins-class submarines, contributing to the future submarine program, whether it's bringing our asset management skills that we use with the London Fire Brigade, the London Metropolitan Police, to institutions and major public service providers in South Australia. That's what we do. So it's very much about bringing that core leading edge knowledge and experience into South Australia.
How important do you think that process is in building a local supply chain, particularly given the federal government's major defence investments in our state?
It's really important. I mean, supply chain is the lifeblood of any industry. And I think the Commonwealth's defence industrial policy, backed up by a $90 billion+ investment in defence, brings a substantial part of that investment to South Australia, and therefore it places a high premium on the continuous development of a sustainable supply chain in the state. Babcock, like everybody else, needs a resilient supply chain made up of SMEs, indigenous businesses, as well as the larger national and international players, to put together those supply chains in support of these industries.
As someone that has worked all over the world, how have you found doing business in SA and working with Investment Attraction South Australia?
It's been a pleasure. I mean, every single person I've encountered, whether it's the cafe worker, restaurant worker, the bank manager, the public servant who issued my South Australian driving licence, the plumber who was with my family till 11 o'clock at night on Christmas Eve, saving our Christmas.
Aww.
All of those guys have been extremely friendly, incredibly helpful, and genuinely interested in me and my family and helping to make our lives easier.
What happened on Christmas Eve?
You don't want to know.
Really?
We had a blockage of the major variety, shall we say.
Oh, excellent.
And everything stopped.
Yeah. Oh,
I
dear.
had family from Greece, I had family from UK, I had a lot of people in the house when it all went wrong. But that good old South Australian plumber turned up and he did the business. It was fantastic.
Excellent. I'm glad. No more blockages. No, that's excellent. It's a nice place to live, that's for sure. And it's one of the most rewarding things, I think, you know, when you live here, is just everyone is really just truly so friendly and genuinely so.
And I think, you know, in the professional side as well, I mean, there are some really talented and seriously qualified people here in public sector and private sector. And, you know, as a businessman coming here and talking to the guys and girls who've come, you know, with Babcock to this part of the country, whether they've come interstate or they've come internationally and joined us here, it's that mix of business relationships, lifestyle, quality of life, other people similar-minded. You know, as Mike said earlier, you've got the beach, you've got the hills, you've got all of this diverse lifestyle. There's something for everybody here. It's brilliant.
Mike, the Treasurer announced a $220 million future jobs plan in the recent state budget. What does that mean for your agency?
Well, the Treasurer's announcement of a $200 million future jobs fund is brilliant news, not only for Investment Attraction South Australia, because we get additional funding for 4 years, but I actually think for the state as a whole. The new fund is $200 million, provides us with a really unique opportunity to get out there and showcase South Australia and really our business offering in relation to the fund. And we can go and do that globally, on the global stage, to say, this is a big offering. Look what we've got here in South Australia to attract your industry and to attract your business. And the reason I say it is so big is people sometimes have a conception that investors are banging on your door asking to invest and bring jobs here, and that's not the case. And you've got to get out there and you've got to fight for everything we've got. So we've got to get out there, we've got to promote South Australia, we've got to promote companies coming here and put the package for them to actually set up and establish. And to do that, you have to stand out in the marketplace, you have to have a differentiator, and the 200 million Future Jobs Fund really is that differentiator.
So what will you offer grants and low interest loans, and can anyone get involved?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually what I really like about the fund is it covers the whole of industry, and so not only just from my perspective of attracting into an investment interstate and globally, so I have funding for that, but there's also a $50 million grant fund, and there's also a $70 million loan fund where local companies here, companies looking to expand, can all make an application for that. So what's great about it covers all areas of industry to attract companies, and most importantly for them to set up and create new jobs here.
So Mike, how can, if you're listening and you're a business, how can somebody contact you and I guess apply?
If they contact Investment Attraction South Australia, if they go onto the website, they'll see the details. Feel free to contact me direct or send me an email, and we'll be delighted to pick it up. There's also information now in the public domain in relation to the grants fund and the loans fund. There is an application process. So again, if you download the details off the government website, you'll be able to see the actual process of making an application. putting your application in, and the process for the decisions to be made as part of that process then.
Is there any, are you targeting any particular industries, or it's an open book at this point?
No, there's 5 industry sectors that we're looking to attract under the funds, and companies from those sectors then can apply into the funds or through investment attraction in South Australia.
Mike and David, pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us and informing us on investing in South Australia.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.